Photography World, a podcast for everyone passionate about landscape photography. I'm Grant Swinburne and I'll be your host on this show, talking to landscape photographers about their motivations, likes and dislikes. Ben Geier is a photographic artist whose work revives the faded charm of American nostalgia. Rooted in his Midwestern upbringing, Ben began his journey through a fascination with the abandoned, drawn to forgotten buildings, rusted signage, and the ghostly remnants of roadside culture. His signature aesthetic and retro-inspired colour palette breathe new life into these lost spaces, offering a vibrant homage to a bygone era. In this episode, Ben explores his deep connection to Americana, discussing how his background in design and music has shaped his eye for composition, tone, and storytelling. He reflects on the visual influence of cinema and the power of memory in shaping his work. His debut book, Viewing Hours, spans a decade of images captured across 16 states, documenting the decline and dignity of theatres, restaurants, motels and main streets that once defined American culture. Ben also opens up about the emotional resonance of photographing overlooked subjects, the creative process behind compiling his book, and how photography became a way to preserve fleeting pieces of cultural identity. His work stands as both artistic expression and historical preservation, keeping alive the textures and stories of the American landscape. I hope you enjoy the show. G'day, Ben. Welcome to Landscape Photography World. Hope you're having a great day. Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Why don't we start with your philosophy on photography? What does photography mean to you and why is it a big part of your life?
I started off as a designer, and from design, I'll go all the way back. So I used to play in bands growing up, like in the 90s. I grew up in the Chicagoland area, and there was a big Chicago music scene in the 90s. So I really got my start in design and photography through that. I played drums in multiple bands, had a bunch of friends that played in bands, and it was always about creating album artwork or flyers. Yeah, so really I got my start more so in design, but it's because with like indie music, I feel like everything's DIY. We would just do everything ourselves, which included design. It included all the photography. So I used to shoot everything on a 35 millimeter film, but then as things evolved throughout the 2000s, I started shooting digital. But what does it mean to me? It just, because I'm so rooted in like a design background, I really like to find imagery or locations that really showcase that design, whether it be neon signs or weird and bizarre roadside like attractions. Like some of those neon signs are just the typography, storefronts that have really great 3D like lettering. I always try to find kind of vintage retro vestiges from like the past that really speak to me.
Awesome. For those that don't know your work, you obviously do a lot of that sort of neon signs and urban landscapes would be a broad job which you might fit.
Yeah.
Why urban landscapes? What is it about those that really get your heart hooked?
So I grew up in the Midwest, and I wasn't really into landscape photography for a long time, but I found myself only doing photography when I was able to go travel somewhere. So I feel like it was a roadblock for me because I couldn't travel all the time. And if you grew up in the Midwest, it's flat, it's terrible landscape photography. It's all
storm photography.
Yeah, true. So yeah, to me, it was more so I like the rural kind of landscape photography because I grew up in the area. It's what I'm used to seeing. And during the pandemic, really, is when I started to photograph the neon sign, roadside kind of Americana photography. And that was more so just, I would get in the car, hit the road for 2 days or just a full day, drive as far as I could, and just explore like all of the little rural towns because they're jam-packed with like abandoned theaters and just really great storefronts, stuff that you just don't see in like the bigger cities because there's enough money in the bigger cities where they've all
renewed all the time. And you have those old signs that have been there since the 1940s or 50s even.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what your greatest influences are. Where did that influence come from? Is it somebody's work? Is it a person? Is it just your personal experiences? What is it that has influenced your photography more than anything else?
Oh man, there's so much that influences me. Music is a big part of it. I really love Americana music. There's a really great instrumentalist or guitarist named Hayden Pettigan, who's out of Amarillo, Texas. I think music has always inspired me. It may sound funny that music inspires my photography, but
No, it doesn't to me.
when I'm on like a road trip, it's all I'm listening to. I feel like it sets the mood. I don't know. I get into a headspace from the sounds of that stuff. So I think music is a huge influence, but movies are another one that really inspire me. The movie Paris, Texas has always been like a favorite of mine and really drew me to the West, which is so many of the photos in my book, Viewing Hours, are from the West. And I feel like that movie was such a big inspiration for me.
You know, I'm not surprised looking at your work that's an influence. Now you say it, it seems obvious. And talking about the music, that Raikuda guitar, the slide guitar in that is just
right.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, David Lynch is another really big one.
Uh-huh.
I know his stuff is so dark, but he has like some of the, whether it be like one of his movies or Twin Peaks, or he has so many visuals throughout all of that stuff that I love so much. Sometimes it's a diner, like a service station, a gas station, like restaurant. Just there's so many just cool motels, signs.
Yeah.
I feel like he's another just really big influence because he's so influenced by just everything from the 50s, which resonates with me.
Okay, cool. You talked about music there, and I'm interested in that. Are you like me in that you're standing somewhere and you've got music playing in the back of your head without headphones or anything? It's just,
yeah.
Because if I'm out on a rock shelf or in a stream photographing a waterfall or whatever, that's what's happening for me. There's a bit of music playing in the background on repeat.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm going to talk Instagram, but I love pairing my visuals with music on Instagram just because I feel like I don't know, it can take an image to that headspace of when you shot it.
Yeah.
And it's just another element that really helps represent the photo.
You hit something that I do. I pick a name for an image. Sometimes it's really basic. Like I did one the other day called Wet Rock because it's a rock with a wave washing over it. And I couldn't think of a better name. But what I do, regardless of the name that I pick, I search for a song with that name as the search term. And basically whatever comes up in the first 4 or 5, have a bit of a listen. And, yep, that suits, bang, done. Doesn't matter who the artist is. It doesn't matter where it's come from. If it suits the song, if it suits the image, that's what goes with it.
Yeah, yeah.
You mentioned your book, and that's part of the reason why you're here is because we want to talk a little bit about it. Why don't you tell me what inspired the book and customers could expect if they buy a copy?
Yeah, so I think the book really focuses on just, I would say, the Americana landscape. It's split into 6 chapters that, one focuses on storefronts, restaurants, roadside, motels, signs, and theaters. And I feel like as you look through the book, it feels like a road trip. I'm such a fan of road trips. And as I take these road trips, my schedule for these road trips are just jam-packed. It's like I could hit something like 50 locations in a day. And the more that I shoot all of these kind of signs or motels or theaters, I'm starting to notice that if it's like a repeat visit, they've been demolished or they're just gone, or the motel with the signs gone, or it's just shuttered. The pandemic closed so many theaters in the US. So to me, it's more so like I'm just trying to document all of these places before they're just completely gone. And I like doing it because when I post them, so many people contact me with stories from specific locations. With restaurants, I always hear, oh man, the first date with my wife was there, or some movie that they saw that was like super important to them they saw it at that theater that's now shut down.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just like documenting all these places before they just get demolished. Or
yeah. It's something that I've mentioned on the podcast a couple of times where people, they tend to ignore those more banal sort of places that they see every day. And I know going on road trips, it's probably slightly different. If you live in a town or a city or a suburb or whatever, and you're not recording some of the things that you're seeing around there, then you are missing out on that opportunity. Because I absolutely love looking at places where I grew up or places in towns or cities that I knew, looking at photos from the 40s, 50s and 60s before I was born. And that's the legacy, I think, that you're actually bringing to bear, is that these places aren't going to exist forever. And the landscape is going to change. That urban landscape is going to change through either urban renewal or just dilapidation, because nobody's taking care of these things. And so at some point, they're going to actually be a historical record. And whether they're an artistic record or a documentary record, I don't think matters that much. It's really around making sure that those places are memorialised, for want of a better term, in those sorts of images, so that people in later years can come back and see, oh, that's the street I used to live in, and wow, there used to be a theatre 2 doors down the road from the apartment that I'm now in. Yeah.
That's interesting. So I just recently told this story, but I remember being in high school. When I was in high school, there was like a mall that was just in town, and it was such a hub for like me and all my friends to either hang out, go to the movies, just go shopping at Kmart or like the other department store. I used to get my haircuts there. It's just it was like the main kind of hub for like me and all my friends just growing up. And I think it shut down when I was maybe a freshman in high school. And by senior year, had been vacant for 4 years.
Wow.
And I remember sneaking into it, and it was shocking to see. Yeah. It was at a time where I wasn't doing photography, but I really wish that I had documented it, just because I can't find any photos of it. There isn't. Yeah. I like
there's a whole genre now of photography which is all about going into those abandoned places, and whether they're looking for something in the liminal variety or whether they're looking for something that's more just the decay, and absolutely fascinated by that whole genre around going into abandoned spaces and looking for those things.
Yeah. I used to do that a lot more, like the abandoned stuff. And it's not like I didn't enjoy it. I really enjoyed it. But there's I don't know, I feel like there's such a risk involved in all of that stuff where, I don't know, for some reason, I feel like the roadside Americana stuff is now it's where I've found like just a home in that. And I feel great photographing that stuff.
In past episodes, I've spoken to photographers about their sort of journey from, usually where most people start is from a documentary perspective, similar to what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And at some point, a little trigger goes off in their brains and said, hey, this is actually art that I'm creating. I'm not just creating something that is a document of where I've been or an event or whatever. Is that similar for you, or has it always been about the art because of your design background?
I would say that it's always been about the art, the locations that I'm stopping off at, or I make the destination. They're usually the destination because of those design elements that I find. Like, it's really great color palette. Sometimes I see a theater where I'm like, oh man, it's 12 hours away. And I'm like, oh, I'll do that next week. It sounds insane. But most people like look at me, they're like, what? Like, why are you doing that? And it's just because who knows when it'll be gone. But I need to document it because I just feel like it's such a work of art, the design or the typeface. It's just all the elements that just fit together where I'm just like, oh man, that's stunning.
Yeah.
That really stunning theater front or something.
Nice. And talking about the project of creating the book, I'm interested in how people go through that thought process of, okay, I've got a body of work. It fits together like this, and I have either a genre or a theme in mind that I want to express. How did that thought process go for you, and how did you go about actually getting to the culmination where you've actually published and got it out and released it to the world?
So this is actually something that Trope and I talked about a lot. I think at first we were talking about it just being all abandoned stuff, but I felt like it was almost limiting. So I just really, I wanted to make sure that it was roadside focused
Yeah.
so that it felt like a road trip. So the more that I just looked at photos that I have taken over the last almost decade, it started to fall into 6 different chapters, which is the storefronts, restaurants, roadside motels, signs, and theaters. And it just felt like all the selections that I was doing for those were equally weighted. So it really just worked out. Yeah.
How was the process for actually selecting the images? Did you do all of that yourself, or did you get friends or people from Trope, the publishers, to give you some assistance in that?
No, I selected most of them myself. One thing that we really wanted me and Trope kept on talking about was to make sure that it wasn't, there's a lot of Route 66 photos in
Oh,
there, although we didn't want it to feel like a Route 66 book
yeah.
because there's so much more to the book than the shots that are from Route 66.
Right.
So that was just a really big focus, is to limit. So we kept on paring back photos that were taken along Route 66.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's only like a few gaps where I went out and actually had to shoot additional photos, which I felt like it was just a good opportunity to round everything out.
No.
Yeah.
And in terms of the project itself, like how long did it take end to end from where the concept came from to culmination?
About, I don't know, let's think, probably about 8 months.
Okay. That's pretty quick.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think we were actually thinking about pushing it out till October, but we wanted to make sure that it hit during summer because it felt like such a road trip like kind of book.
Yeah.
It felt more natural to release it a little bit sooner.
Yeah. Okay. And how much input did you get in terms of the text around it? Were you writing the text with ghost writing, or how did
No,
that?
yeah, I was
Just yeah,
um,
matching the images with the words and the
for
words with the images. That's always something that fascinates me, is how people go through that
yeah.
process.
So the text, I wrote all the text aside from the foreword, which I could talk about in a little bit. Yeah, I wrote all the text. I'm not the greatest writer, so I do feel like that is the part that I stumbled through. But I think I gave like a good kind of overview of my thoughts around each one of the chapters and like why it appeals. One of those, the subject matter appeals to me. In terms of the foreword, I had a musician write it just because I feel like so much of the topic of music like plays a part in the book overall.
Sure.
So his name is Mark Robinson. He was in a band in the 90s called Unrest.
Okay.
One of my favorite bands like ever in the 90s. He was just a fan of some of my photos and design work. He's also a designer. He runs a record label, so he would do all the design work for the record label. Incredible designer. So I reached out to him and he was like all for doing it, which I'm like just so thankful for. Yeah, it was like a surprise to have like a teenage idol forward.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Where can people find it? That's the important bit, is how do people get their hands on it?
Yeah, trope.com or Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I know they have some going out to a bunch of independent stores.
Sure.
But yeah, just searching viewing hours or my name, Ben Geier.
Nice. Cool. Let's move to where the first place was that you actually said, hey, this is something I want to do. This is where I want to spend a lot of time. Not necessarily the place that you want to spend a lot of time, but that space of recording these sorts of images. Where was that trigger point for you? Where did you say, okay, this is what I want to do with my life?
There's a few of those moments. I feel like I think the big turning point for me though was all the way back in June of 2017. There is a small ghost town in Illinois. It's like the very southern tip of Illinois.
Yeah.
It's like the confluence of the Ohio River and the Mississippi River. So it's packed with abandoned places. And at the time, I was so obsessed with shooting everything abandoned. So it was just natural stop for me to just stop off there and just weave in and out of the streets to just find places to shoot. So yeah, first trip there, it's like a 6.5 hour drive for me. I just decided to do that on a whim on a weekend. The town it used to be like a huge port town. because of all the flooding, it's been just, there's not really a huge population there anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, jumping out of the car and shooting the shot for Gem Theater from, they call it Cairo, but it's spelled Cairo. So in Cairo, yeah, the Gem Theater, I feel like that was, as I took that photograph, somebody like a local got out of their car and just started telling me about the history of the town. And I just feel like it was a moment where I recognized, not only did I like really love the shot, but it was the amount of history throughout the town really intrigued me and made me want to keep on going back, not just to Cairo, but other abandoned places or just finding abandoned theaters that are similar. That really started me on like a long journey of, I think there's 16 states in the book.
Okay.
I think there's like an abandoned theater in every single state.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
And is there a place that you keep coming back to that just keeps calling you back, whether it's unfinished business or just something that you feel draws you back to it all time after time?
Yeah, there's a couple. Route 66 is always one that like, if I just have nothing to do, I'll drive it. Things change so drastically in those small rural towns. Like I said, like shops close up, but on Route 66, it's because of like the centennial, like next year, there's so many people like refurbishing like locations.
Yeah.
So that's always a favorite one for me is Route 66. Wildwood, New Jersey is another favorite. That is just, if you like mid-century like architecture or just neon signs, it's like just packed. It's packed. Like every single street, every corner has some like mid-century modern, like doo-wop, like motel, and just an incredible neon sign.
Yeah, nice.
It's like a dream going there. It almost doesn't feel like like you're stepping back in time.
Awesome. Do you think it's important to have goals in your photography, and do you have a process for setting creative challenges around those goals for yourself?
Yeah, I love doing photography, but I never feel satisfied if it's a single shot.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I always like series of photos. For me, it was like after I shot that photo of the Gem Theater, from that point forward, it was like, oh, how many can I find? How many can I photograph? Because I feel like them as like a gallery or like a set of photos is so much more impressive. It feels like they all fit together, like it's curated. So I think that's usually like my goal, is to attach myself to something that's, I don't know, where you can see like a bigger picture.
Yeah. Bringing together things in a theme, if you like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Finding like the theme in all of those.
And having got the book out, what's the next project you're on to? Or can't you tell me?
I actually do have a few ideas. I think I have 3 or 4. And one of them is going back to Wildwood. One of them is maybe North Dakota, which is somewhere I've never been. But North Dakota is just packed with those really gorgeous schoolhouses and churches that are just in the middle of just prairie. It's so desolate looking, but just really pretty stark shots.
Yeah.
Another idea. Yeah, I have a few others. Yeah.
Nice.
I really do the theater chapter. Part of me always wants to keep on going with that.
Yeah, sure. If you love it, why not? That's the beauty of photography, is you can shoot what you want. In talking about that, how do you do photography professionally outside of your own artistic work?
Yes and no. So I'm one of 3 partners in a design agency, and most of the work we do is video related. A lot of it is photography, but most of it is like just design and video.
Yeah.
So there are plenty of shoots that I go on for video and photography, but none of them really relate to the book or what I do on the side.
Uh-huh.
Pretty different. It's more corporate kind of stuff.
Yeah. Is that a struggle? And how do you, I guess, keep the
Parry the
creativity
two?
and artistic side alive when you're being told, shoot this boring looking building or this boring bunch of people?
Yeah, I don't know. Like with video, it's like storytelling in a different way. I enjoy it from that perspective. I think overall, I just like the storytelling aspect. And maybe that's rates me in the more corporate environment.
I guess that storytelling, I'm interested in how you interact or how you expect your viewers to interact with your work, and that how you want to weave that story through and hope that they catch on to what you're saying without adding words to it. If somebody goes to your webpage and looks at a bunch of your photos, what would you say is the main thing you want them to take away from it?
I think it's a means of like just archiving American culture and just preserving the stories that are around these maybe lesser historic locations, but it's just American culture, I feel like is quickly disappearing.
Right.
Yeah. So I just feel like this is a good way to help preserve some of that. And I really just want people to take a road trip, do that everybody thinks, oh, I'm going on a vacation. It's usually like a beach or just some like destination place. But I feel like, I don't know, trips like road trips are so great. My kids like absolutely love them. I don't think it was always that way. I think it's after you get a couple under your belt, like you start to fall in love with it.
Yeah. The journey is an experience in itself, regardless of the nation.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I just hope that people understand that just a good way to preserve our stories and our culture and history.
Nice.
And I hope they take a road trip.
Can you tell us about a situation where you've planned a shoot and you've gone out and things haven't quite gone the way that you planned, but the result still came out amazing?
Maybe like some of back when I used to do abandoned stuff, even some of the locations, how many times I've plotted, there's a pin on the map and I'm like, that's where I'm heading today.
Sure.
And you get there and it's gone. That happens all the time.
Wow.
And especially the roadside stuff. It's just, the stuff doesn't last very long or it's collapsed.
Yeah.
So there's been plenty of times where I get there and it's gone, but I feel like it's more so I try to focus on, again, like making it a road trip. Like you're doing multiple stops along the way.
Yeah.
So that it's a series of just fun stops. Like, I can't tell you how many times that I've just driven through small rural towns that I've never seen before. You would never know the name and you find something incredible. Like recently I drove through a little town in Illinois called Boston.
Okay.
And there's just this one tiny little storefront with a barbershop, great signage. I'd never seen it before. Yeah, I think it's more so just having a goal of going somewhere, but making sure that you weave through the little towns to find like all the little places that you would never see unless you went through them.
What's the furthest you've traveled to get a shot?
I don't know. That's a good question. I definitely have traveled like all over the world, but in terms of
I'm focusing on the road trips.
Oh yeah, no, sure.
Yeah.
I've traveled all around the world, but I feel like, oh geez, like with road trips, it's like I've gone like all the way to the West Coast,
Right.
and designed trips to go to say like Salvation Mountain in California. But I don't know. I design trips for myself that'll take me like I'll stop 300 or 400 times, and
Wow.
nobody wants to travel with me because I'm insane.
I
do feel-
think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, but it's like you have to travel with photographers to get that enthusiasm.
That's it. Yeah. I'm constantly reminded if I'm traveling with my wife or my girls, they're all adults, so they tend to go off and do their own thing there.
Yeah.
But when they were younger and I knew they were in the car and I was going, okay, I want to stop here and I want to stop there. And there's
Right.
certain roads. There's a road here called the Great Ocean Road, and it has some scenic spots every sort of 200, 300 yards down the road. And so it's pull up at that, get out, take some shots. You might spend half an hour there, get on the road, 200 meters down the road, pull in, take some more shots. So to do the full length of that, trying to do it in one day with a photographer is absolutely stupid. I'm constantly aware that they're in the car. They're bored to tears. I'm having a great time, but I need to keep it down and respect their time too.
Yeah. Yeah. My kids they've gotten used to it. It still pisses them off.
Are we there yet? A lot of photographers I've spoken to, some of them talk about where they live having influenced what and also how they shoot. Has that happened for you in any way, or is it more just what you're shooting because of that Midwestern background that you've got?
Yeah, I think it's the Midwestern background. Yeah, I keep on coming back to the small rural towns. It's so fun. Like those places like actually get me excited, which most people just drive through them and not think of anything
Mhm.
about it twice. But yeah, I get excited about those places just because they're usually only 4 or 5 streets. So it's
Sure.
easy to kind of like just navigate through them, just explore them. And I always find good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Midwest towns have really influenced a lot of the stuff in my book, like the storefronts and theaters and yeah, just all the little good like signage elements that I find.
Nice. Are you processing on the road, or do you leave them to build up and wait till you get back home, or how do you go about your processing?
Yeah. So I do process a lot on the road. Some projects, I did a Texas trip in early May. I shot like thousands of photos. So I tried to keep up as best as possible, like on the road, but I don't think I really scratched the surface until I got back and really had a ton of time to invest into it.
Sure. And then,
Do you like process on the road or?
oh yeah,
I'm always
I
curious
can.
about this.
Yeah, I invested
Love
in
it.
motorhome, so I could do that. So
Yeah.
the laptop always comes with me, even on overseas trip. I did take a trip to Vietnam. When was that?
Wow.
April, and I didn't take my laptop with me, so there was no backup. If something, I did have 2 cards in the camera, luckily, but so I didn't have any disasters, didn't lose anything. But I was getting out there and saying, all right, I'm going to travel light, not carry too much with me, and not spend too much time thinking about the processing, because a lot of it was quite different to my usual photography, because it was more grounded in street photography on that trip than anything else. So there was a lot of very quick snap shooting going on. And so I was going to be less concerned about taking time over processing them. So I knew when I got back, I could fairly quickly run through everything. But usually, yeah, I take my laptop usually wherever I go. And it's the main thing I'm doing is backing it up. I carry a spare external drive so that it's backed up. It's on the card, it's on the laptop, and it's on the external drive, so that way, fingers crossed, not all 3 things are going to fail at once. So the main thing is backing them up. In terms of processing, I'm usually taking my time about it, and I'm still processing images from 10 years ago, simply because they're there and I haven't got to them. And and it always fascinates me how people go about it, because some people love the immediacy, some people love the distance between the shot and the actual processing, and that emotional separation sometimes helps people. So I'm interested in your experience with that, and whether or not you're a straight into it guy or a leave it to marinate.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of both for me. But even doing the book, it was great because, like you just said, I was going back, like I think 9 years for some of the photos, which was you look at things completely different.
Oh, absolutely.
9 years later, I would edit them completely different than 9 years ago. So, yeah, I think it's kind of the fun process to kind of wait on some of it. So it's not always like this immediate thing for me.
Yeah, yeah. I always find sometimes with that separation, it still brings back the memory of being there, regardless of how long ago it was. If it was 5, 10, even some of my older stuff 15 years ago, where I was just using a point and shoot. There's still stuff there. I can remember either standing on a beach or in a stream or wherever I was, at the top of a mountain or underneath a mountain. Yeah, that always comes back to me. Is that the case for you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I also I don't know what you shoot on, but like I shoot on a digital that has like really great, like raw, like video capabilities.
Yeah.
So I'm always like doing video as well, which is great because when I'm sifting through like photos from 9 years ago, I'll also get little video clips that
Nice.
kind of jog my memory.
It's funny, I almost never use I'm shooting a Canon R6 Mark II, so it's fairly new. I know the Mark III is apparently on the horizon, but it's great at video, but I almost never shoot it. It doesn't occur to me, and I always forget. And if I'm doing it, it's usually on the phone.
So that is another thing that I could talk about too. Yeah, I've been shooting like a bunch of video of the neon signs because I think that's also just a cool element to have.
Yeah.
Especially, there's so many signs that I shoot that just neon doesn't work anymore. But
Yeah.
in the animated signs, if I find an animated sign that still works, I'll absolutely take video of it.
Yeah.
Just to have it. I don't do anything with it. That's just usually just to have it.
What have you learned about yourself through your photography?
That's a good question. I've learned how I can really say this. I think I've learned how to like really expand my style.
Okay.
And when I first got into photography, I was all about outdoors, landscape photography.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I was so focused on that. When you live in Illinois, you just can't be doing all that stuff. So to me, it was how can I pivot? How can I pivot? And Illinois is filled with, sounds terrible, but it's filled with so many really great abandoned places. So I feel like that's
part of the Rust Belt, isn't it?
so I felt there's a ton of that around and it appeals to me. So
Sure.
I would pick and start photographing that. And I don't know, from there, then I started doing roadside. So I think it's just, I've learned to really continue to pivot and just expand my subject matter to a point where I feel like I've really found a home in what I photograph now.
Nice. Nice. How often do you bump into somebody when you're out in the field?
It's happened a couple times, but not often. I love to connect with other photographers. If I'm in a city, I'll make a post about it just to try and connect with somebody. But yeah, not typically. I've met tons of people that way. That is a great thing. It's when you see somebody out there with a tripod doing a similar shot, you strike up a conversation and keep in contact for years. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. People tend to think of photographers as very solitary, but when they get together in groups, it can actually end up being quite interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I love to talk about this stuff.
Do you print much of your work other than crowding books, obviously, but do you print anything?
I do my website through a service called framer.art. They handle all the printing for me.
Sure.
Which is it's a great service. Yeah. My site's been up on there probably almost a year.
Okay.
But in terms of printing my own stuff for like my own place, like I'm sure most everybody's similar. It's like I have none of my work up in my place.
I get a couple, mainly because my wife likes them. She says, "Oh, I want a print of that." Okay, sure. I'd much rather have other people's work though, because
that's the way I am. Yeah,
I think that stuff is the stuff that inspires me and makes me want to get out and shoot more.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's why I have it on my walls, is because it inspires me.
That's right. Speaking about walls, what about creative walls? Have you ever hit one? Have you ever sat there and said, "No, not feeling it today, don't want to get out"? How do you get out of the lack of inspiration rut that many photographers get into now and then?
That happens a lot. I try to make time to shoot almost every weekend. So if I ever feel like I'm in a rut, I just force myself to find new locations, do new trips. Sometimes it's to go back and photograph something in a different way. But I think it's just pushing myself to continue to keep on doing it. You know, there's weekends where I'm in a rut, I don't feel like going out, and you don't. And then Wednesday, you're like, why the hell didn't I just go out? I don't know. I think it's just more so just forcing yourself to push through and just sounds trite, but just to keep on shooting.
Yeah, interesting. I'm the opposite. If I'm not feeling it, I tend not to go out, but I tend to distract myself with something else until I do feel, okay, now I've got to go. And for me, the itch always comes back at some point, just by going and doing something else. And it might not even be something creative. At the moment, I'm pretty distracted with some other things in my life that I'm doing. And so I tend to focus on that, get that out of the way, and then, okay, now it's time. I can go out. I feel relaxed. I feel like doing it again. And for me, that kind of works a little bit better than just trying to force myself, because I tend to find if I go out and force myself, I take worse pictures. That's me anyway.
How often do you go out though?
Because I have very little else to do other than this podcast, I typically go out, not every day, but every 2 or 3 days. sometimes. Sometimes, though, it might be weeks where I don't, or even so for the past 3 or 4 months, I haven't been out a lot. I've probably been out 3 times in that period, simply because other things are going on. And so I'm putting more focus into that in my life. Yeah, for me, it's just more, okay, I'm feeling it. I do a lot of dawn seascape stuff. So because I'm on the East Coast here, and therefore that is easy to do and easy to get a reasonable picture because the light is usually pretty good unless you've got a completely clear day or a completely grey day. But getting up, now it's winter time, it's fine because the sun isn't coming up until 7 a.m. So that I can go out at a respectable hour. But in summertime, it just gets a bit, got to get up at 3 a.m. to drive an hour to a beach. And that's when it really feels, I don't want to do that.
I was saying that I took that trip in May to just a huge loop around all of Texas. And when I got back from that trip, I tore my Achilles tendon. So I haven't been out to shoot in almost 2 months now. And it's like torture.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I can't, I'm finally starting to walk again. So one of these weekends coming up, I'm going to finally make it back out. But it's really rough to get through it.
No, I can imagine though. Yeah, physical injuries are a real pain in the backside, literally sometimes. And it's the worst when you really want to go, but your body won't let you.
Yeah.
Where do you see photography in society? What is its role? Where do you see it going?
Do you mean like reception of it?
I just mean, where do you see photography in society? What do people think about it? What do you think about how people think about it?
Yeah, sometimes I worry about photography dying a little bit. And I think it's really because of social media or just the way they receive it. Everybody doom scrolls through beautiful shots. And I feel like it just somehow matters less or something nowadays. Everything's about video content. So I feel
definitely doesn't get the attention some of it deserves.
Yeah. Which is disappointing, but I think that's one of the reasons why I liked the idea of doing a book so much. What just having a physical thing to actually look through. Anybody looking through that book stops to pause and actually maybe the image would resonate with them, where typically it's just scrolling past it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that aspect of photography it has positive but also negative effects. Just volume of photography out there, you can't see it all. But to be honest, I think that's been the same with most arts. It's just now more intensified and amplified by the number of people that are out there with cameras in their hands and being able to record whatever it is, whether it's the plate of food on their restaurant table or their cat, and they're taking videos of that. But I think but I think it's alive and well, and I think people that are passionate about it are always going to go out and go and pursue, particularly landscape photographers. I do feel sorry with the advent of AI for product photographers, fashion photographers, and marketing sort of photographers. Though, if you're doing photos of, say, events, weddings, corporate events, those sorts of things, or you're doing real estate photography, you've still got a fairly strong career, because you can't fake that sort of stuff with AI and have people expect that to be served up to them. No one's going to want an AI wedding photo album.
Yeah.
At least no one I know.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
But I think by and large, it's always going to be there. And I think the popularity of it obviously is more popular than it ever has been. It's the democratization that's happened with the advent of camera phones, because to be honest, when you buy a phone now, a lot of people buy it because of the quality of the camera.
Right.
Over and above anything it can do as a phone.
Yeah, you're totally right.
What do you reckon the future of photography is? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, again, I feel like what you were just saying with the popularity of just camera phones. I feel like that is where a lot of it's headed, which I don't think is such a bad thing. If quality keeps on improving, I wouldn't think that's such a bad thing.
You can take a bad photo with a Hasselblad, the best camera in the world. You can still take bad photos with that.
Yeah, but I've seen so many people take incredible shots
Sure.
with some early gen like iPhone. It doesn't really matter too much with the camera. I feel like they're like tools.
Yeah.
They'll get the job done, so it doesn't matter too much. But I do feel like, yeah, cameras will just keep on getting smaller and more portable, and yeah.
There's a whole genre of lo-fi photography, the Holga movement, and
Yeah.
people using toy cameras.
Super interesting. I feel like more and more, and maybe something about this, I just find it interesting.
Sure.
I feel like there's my kids and other high schools, like aged kids, that are like all about digital cameras from anywhere from 96 till 2000.
Sure. Yeah.
I have no idea why they're so popular.
Yeah, I don't really know. I should ask my daughter. She's actually into Polaroid photography.
Okay. But I think that's like unique and cool. And there's so much expression in that stuff and experimentation with it.
Absolutely.
Like like the early like digital cameras that are just point and shoot.
Yeah.
I have no idea why they're just becoming so popular.
There's all the old film cameras coming back too. People not only collecting them, repairing them, but also using them in different ways, and then developing their film in soup and various other mediums, as opposed to. And to me, I think that's absolutely amazing, and something that's really encouraging about the photography world is that there's so many people out there doing different things, from large format, medium format, all the way down to 110 mil happy snappers. And as you said, that early digital movement and the Holga movement, etc., it just blows my mind that there's so many different ways of people becoming creative and expressing themselves differently using different tools.
Yeah.
I said we weren't going to talk too much about gear, but here we are.
It might happen.
Sometimes it does. I've only got a few more questions for you, then we can wrap up. First off, what's your favorite thing about being a photographer?
The exploring portion, just the traveling portion. You get to see and document so many interesting things, stuff that you would never see in any other circumstance. Yeah, that's absolutely my favorite part.
What do you like to do when you're not out shooting?
I'm still really into music. So I love going to shows. I don't play music very much anymore. I would love to again. But my family is like a huge part of my life. So just when my daughter's back from college, just hanging with her, and
nice.
My other two, my boys, they're fun to be around. So it's usually just all of us hanging out.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Are there any photographers that you think I need to be talking to on the podcast?
In terms of abandoned stuff, I have a really good friend. Her name is Connor. She shoots everything on her iPhone, and her stuff is incredible. She goes by the name of Midwest Abandoned Places. That's what it's, yeah. I just enjoy her take on everything because it's shot in an iPhone and it's completely unique.
Yeah, nice. I'll definitely look her up.
Yeah, it's Midwest_Abandoned Places.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I got one more question, and it's one I've been asking since the beginning of the podcast. Do you like pineapple on pizza?
I do, actually.
Nice.
Do you not get that often?
Oh, no. It's actually the most popular answer is yes, they do.
Okay.
It was about 56 to 44 or something like that the last time I counted, which was back for episode 200. So if you're listening and you haven't listened to episode 200, you can get the exact numbers. I can't remember them top of my head.
I would assume it would be the other way around, but
there is a lot of the hate that's there is passionate, but I think the love for it is stronger. All right. It's been absolutely wonderful speaking with you, Ben, and getting to know you a little bit better. Where can people find your work?
On Instagram, I'm usually posting daily. So that's Ben Geier Photography. And then trope.com has my book available for pre-order. Comes out on July 29th. And then wanted to pick up any kind of prints from me, my site is just Ben Geier. So it's GEIER.com.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Ben.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
Have you ever been on a road trip? If you have, leave a comment below. I'm interested to hear about your experiences. Thanks again for listening to Landscape Photography World. I hope you enjoyed the show, and keep listening because I'll be joined by some great guests in upcoming episodes. You can find my work in this podcast at grantSwinburnephotography.com. I'm also on Vero, Photo, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Grant Swinburne. Hope to see you out shooting soon.